and see things he's never witnessed before. It's been pretty cool.
Yeah, the former Kansas Jayhawk. He's familiar around these parts, and obviously hoping to pull off what would be a monster upset here in quarterfinal number 2. Houston wins the tip. Milos Uzan has it and feeds Jawan Roberts. We did find out he did not play with the King. Inside goes right hand, little bit short. And it's Baskin leading the Buffaloes the other way.
You know, my first reaction with Houston and Colorado, it feels like a first-round NCAA tournament game.
Yep.
Very high seed, a low seed, and a crowd that's not yet into it. And that might favor Colorado a little bit because there's not a lot of energy yet in the building.
Give off here, that one off the glass, and Bangat Dak with the bucket.
He is long and lean. And only a sophomore. We've seen a lot of growth from him this year. Not a lot of girth, but a lot of growth.
JoJo Tugler. Tugler banging down low, left hand, little bit strong, tipped out. Cryer collects and fires. LJ Cryer, the kid from Katy, Texas, who's in his second year at Houston and transferred over from Baylor, won a national title with them.
Yeah, but I feel like I've seen that shot about 100 times this year in person, right?
Bounce pass. Yakimovsky not able to hit. And here is Sharp, who is one of their sharp shooters. As if on cue, Emmanuel Sharp knocks down a 3 on the season. He's 41% from 3 and a brilliant free throw shooter.
Well, we'll see great defense tonight from Houston, but and we'll see a lot of that too. Joe Tugler, the defensive player of the year in this league, but we'll see a lot of good offense, which makes them, I think, a great threat. I mean, this is a drink of water for LJ. He's done this in his entire high school and college career. And then Emmanuel Sharp, John, I think if you get him healthy, which it looks like he is, this is a fun team to watch.
No question. They play hard and good at both ends. Yakimovsky drills a 3. They're going to need more and a lot of that from Andre here today.
And they've gotten it from him in the first 2 wins. The 5th-year senior from North Macedonia. Oh, we got a little wrestling inside. Andre, the transfer from Washington State. He spent 4 years competing against Tad Boyle's group. You see the drive, the drift. And Andre playing with a lot of confidence in this tournament. Got to feel good that his dad was here for about 3 weeks. Hadn't seen him play in college, just left last week.
Roberts gets it inside. Uzan will fire. And that one off the mark as the season has gone on. Uzan has been more of a scoring option for the Cougars. One of the things that Kelvin Sampson talked about is how when Uzan came over from Oklahoma, they needed to teach him how to compete, but also they wanted him to look for a shot.
And I would say teach him how to compete at a Houston Cougar level, because he was a hard-playing guy. Look at this guy.
Cryer, too easy, knocks that one down, his second 3. Yeah, it's a good point. The level that they expect you to compete at is higher than most.
Than most, yeah, but he was well coached at Oklahoma by Porter Moser.
Inside, Sharp comes away with the steal. And then gets it to Tugler. Cryer into the front court. Houston the early lead. Uzan kick out, and Sharp will try. And he was drifting, and that one off the mark.
Got to be a big guy, big day for this guy, Julian Hammond. In that first meeting and only meeting, he had 22 up in Boulder.
Dak not able to hit. And Tony Padilla has a foul. Who's that on? Let's see.
Let's go back and watch LJ. You talk about a pure stroke. This guy, career 41% behind the arc, catch and shoot. Remember, his dad is a football coach who taught him how to shoot by tracing LJ's hands on a ball when he was 4 years old. So he's been doing this for quite a while, John, and I would say he's mastered the art of shooting.
Hammond with Sharp on him. Dak here. Shot clock winding down. Dak tried to flip it inside, and they get a foul on Cryer, who was guarding the bigger Trevor Baskin.
These two teams met in Boulder in early February, and quite frankly, I don't think Kelvin Sampson would characterize it this way, but Houston slept-walked through that road game. They did not lose a road game this year, but it was pretty much even Steven for 30 minutes.
That was the game where Cryer injured his knuckle, and that was a bit of an issue for a while for LJ. Offensive rebound, and the Buffs have new life, trailing by 4. Hamby going to work, bounce pass. Arsenault's checked into the game, harassing, and Dak with the bucket. 2 more for Bengot Dak.
Yeah, Bengot continues to get better. He's got to put a little more weight on, but he's one of the more athletic players in this league. Only a sophomore.
Roberts backing down, goes right hand and puts it home.
I'd say 3 years ago, you would have never expected Juwan Roberts to be a go-to guy, but Kelvin loves to go to him early in games on those post-ups.
Roberts in his 6th year, back cut, and that foul is on the floor. Juwan Roberts in his 6th year, so 6 of Kelvin's 11 years. Houston on top by 4. ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Phillips 66, proud sponsor of Big 12 basketball. Kick up ahead, Stall in the throw, coming out of nowhere to slam it down.
It's March. Anything happen in March, you know?
What does that mean? Oh, too small.
Looking like his old man for 3.
Champ Week rolls on. Houston and Colorado here. Big 12 quarterfinal number 2, and the Cougars leading it by 4. John Chompy, Fran Fraschilla, and Chris Budden here, T-Mobile Center in Kansas City. Javon Ruffin here is checked into the game. Yakimovsky lost his footing, slipped. And now it's Hammond. Shot clock winding down. Got to get it up. And that one rolls off. And Malik Wilson pulls down the rebound. Wilson hesitates. Off balance shot, and that'll go. He's turned into a nice player for them. Their arguably biggest one of the year was that double overtime thriller in Lawrence, and Wilson was a huge part of it.
Yep, he's a product of great player development. We see it every time we go to the Fertitta Center. They put a lot of time into these kids, getting them better offensively.
And again, shot clock winding down, and this time Jope not able to come up with the dunk.
That's usually a dunk unless the defender is a guy named Joseph Tugler.
It's interesting because Houston, we talk about their defense. It's not a big team. It's a long team as Arsenault gets inside.
To your point, it's one of the shorter teams in college basketball, but you've got at least 4 guys out there with 7-foot-plus wingspans. And of course, Javier Francis and Joe Tugler at 7'5" and 7'6".
Speaking of Javier Francis, he's at the scorer's table and getting set to check in. Ruffin, shot clock under 10. Inside as they find or try to feed Malone and couldn't do it. Malone was big in the win against West Virginia. That's an air ball and a shove underneath as Tugler is bounced to the ground by Malone.
Well, you see the effort right here when you're trying to block out Houston, who goes to the glass with ferocity. Oftentimes, and they foul you a lot too now, don't get me wrong, but you have to foul them to keep them off the glass. And what makes them so good, John, they average 10 more shots a game than you because of the offensive rebounding and the fact that they turn you over. When you add the great shooting this year, it makes them really hard to beat.
Sharp on the move, and that off-balance shot nicely done. It's an 8-0 Houston run. Emmanuel Sharp with 5 early points. It's a Colorado team that lost a lot from last year. Program best 26 wins, and they lost 3 guys to the NBA. Feed to Francis. Kicks to Wilson.
Plenty of time, don't have to force it.
Javier Francis, left hand. And a late foul called. Tony Padilla, part of our officiating crew. And Tony with that foul on Hassan Diop.
We're going to see something from Houston that I didn't think I would see early in the tournament, and that is at the scorer's table, Mercy Miller is coming into the game, John. Now, we've been at practice. He's a precocious freshman. We'll tell you more about his background, but he's getting a chance early in the game, which I cannot remember all season him playing that early. He's got a huge future, but when you play at Houston, reminds me of Villanova with Jay Wright. You don't get the minutes unless you deserve them, and he's seeing early time.
Yep, the son of Master P.
Yep. I think he's going to be a terrific player. He's already a good offensive player. But, of course, when you play at Houston, there's more than just playing on one side of the ball. But I love the idea that he's getting some early minutes in a game which they should be in control of at some point. Young man out of Sherman Oaks, California. I'm going to be watching his defense the next couple minutes.
Ruffin being harassed. The double comes. And that's off the hands of Diop. And a turnover forced. And it's Houston basketball.
Yeah, good job by the freshman. I had my eyes on him, and he moved his feet well. And he forced a double team on that ball screen, and consequently, Colorado turns it over.
Yeah, one of the things that happens with Houston, their culture is so good, is the younger kids kind of get absorbed into that culture.
And that's rare, John. It's not as common as you think around college hoops.
Dak pops out on Sharp, lost his footing. Sharp needs some help. Shot clock winding down. Wilson fires. Yeah, that one pulled away by R.J. Smith. Buffaloes trail it by a dozen. Under 12 to go.
Now, this is an airtight defense.
Inside, and that one rolls off for R.J. Smith. Arsenault, step back, jumper is good. Terrence Arsenault. We talked about last year the lack of health down the stretch for Houston. Arsenault was part of that. They had shed with the hamstring. They lost Arsenault in December. And I think at full strength, the Houston team might have been a threat to get to the Final Four.
Guess what? They're healthy this year, and they are a threat to get to the Final Four. Take a look. Lots of weapons. They get it done on the offense this year. Tad Boyle's contemplating, how do you stop these guys?
I like that crean and cuff in studio. And there's what's coming up to the SEC. And you got A&M and Texas, Missouri, Mississippi State. And it'll finish off with Kentucky and Oklahoma.
See that play right there? It's called a deflection, right? Teams keep charts of it. Usually 35 or more deflections means your defense is active, but now you take the ball out of bounds with 11 on the clock, and it disrupts your offense.
Smith gets a piece of the paint, flips it up at the basket. And a fight for the rebound. And Baskin is fouled.
I'll tell you what, Trevor Baskin's had a good week of basketball. 16 rebounds on Saturday in the win versus TCU. And this is a young man that was a D2 All-American last year. And he's spending his 5th year. He was at Mesa, Colorado Mesa, out of Grand Junction. He's fit in nicely.
And a travel, it's a turnover. And Baskin questioning the call from James Ford there. That turnover.
Yeah, he did not. This is called the monster. When they bring the 4-man to double team. See that right there? Now the key is not to foul in the double team. Otherwise it negates your hustle. But I don't think Baskin saw that double team that strong in the Division II level last year.
They get the foul on Arsenault. And that will be his second. Team foul number 5 on Houston.
A lot of young guys for Colorado getting a lot of experience towards next season.
Inside
Nice.
Baskin and one.
And we told you he plays with toughness. Not afraid to take it right at the rib. And we've talked about this all week, John. Good offensive players seek contact. And the not so good ones avoid it. Watch him right into the defender. That is exactly how you take it to a shot blocker. You go right through his chest. You're not scoring, you're going to get 2 free throws. In this case, it's 3.
So a 3-point play, and Baskin gets Colorado within 11. Goes in on the 10-minute mark here, first half. Quarterfinal number 2. The winner of this one will take on BYU in the semifinals. Still to come, it'll be Texas Tech and Baylor, Arizona and Kansas.
Well, we're not going to assume Houston is going to win this game yet, but when they did play BYU in early January, it was a slaughter. 30 points. We're going to see some increased toughness from the Cougs tomorrow, whoever they play.
Francis went down. And Gregory Nixon, he's got a, did he have a trip?
Yeah, he did. A lot of times the official will wait to see if his brethren have the call. He's got the call in his head already, and he's telling Tad Boyle that right now. And he's going to wait because he doesn't want to upstage his teammates. Once he saw there was no call from his other buddies, he made the call. It's okay. Tad knows that. Tad was the chairman of the Rules Committee a couple of years ago.
That last foul on Bangat Dak. Feed inside as they move the ball. Sharp jumper there.
Wow.
And he banks it in. 8 for Emmanuel Sharp. And for Houston, the lead is 14. And again, you kids out there that want to do play-by-play, you don't have to say the bank is open. You don't have to do it. That one tipped out of bounds. It'll stay with Colorado. Let's take another look.
Yeah, watch this, John. Bank of Kansas City's open right here. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
You know, that's just bonus. That's like, what would that be in baseball? Like a broken bat double, right?
Yeah, a little bit.
Like a broken bat group double.
I like that.
That's what that is.
I'll sign off on that.
Yeah. I got to keep it interesting for you with baseball. That's a travel.
And a turnover, and that is turnover number 5 for the Buffs. 9:36 to go in Kansas City. We had a great one for game 1 as BYU and Iowa State slugged it out despite a brilliant performance by Curtis Jones. Richie Saunders and BYU prevailing. Pryor step back, little short. And the Buffs the other way. Here comes Baskin.
Julian Hammond's been quiet so far.
Doesn't even really look to shoot.
No.
Dak inside, has it blocked, and then Ronchik able to pull it home and put it off the glass and in.
Ronchik, one of those young players that we've been impressed with. Remember, his dad, Martine, played in this tournament for Iowa State and was a champion in 2000. Now with the Chicago Bulls.
And a foul on Colorado. And that one will be charged to R.J. Smith.
Yeah, I've played in these tournaments where we were the top seed, John. And especially, you know, you got to be careful you don't sleepwalk your team because you know you're supposed to win and the crowd's not amped yet.
Sharp step back. And that one off the mark. Wilson corrals. Good feed. Tugler. And JoJo Tugler with the bucket.
I thought JoJo got away with a travel there, but young man with great hands, great size, only a sophomore, not ready for the NBA, although he's on some of those mock drafts. He needs a lot of fine tuning.
High arcing shot. Score it for Hammond and one.
There you go, Julian Hammond. Young man from Denver, spent 4 years in Boulder. Great family heritage in the Denver area. In the basketball world, take a look, takes the contact, and a terrific finish. His granddad, Julian Hammond, played for the old Denver Rockets in the ABA.
Knocks that one down and completes the three-point play. It's an 11-point Houston advantage. The 1 seed and the 16 seed squaring off here.
Watch how Roberts' eyes survey the court before he makes his one-on-one move.
Roberts inside, a little bit strong. And a foul inside against Houston. And that'll be on Tugler. Our under 8 timeout, and here from T-Mobile Center in Kansas City, our Big 12 championship. Kansas City live as the fans watch it all.
Move the ball quickly. Quick decisions with the ball and drive it. Just like you drive. That's a good drive. Good drive. Okay, be aggressive driving the ball under control.
Now you look at what they want to do. He talked about driving it, and here's Julian Hammond driving it to the bucket.
Yeah, Tad Boyle is a great human being. He's the winningest coach in Colorado history. They've only had 10, 20 win. They've had 20 win seasons. He's got 10 of them, 7 NBA picks in 13 years. A great mentor. And his team is going out with a little bit of a bang. 3 wins in a row. He's got some young players. You know, there was some talk about 2 weeks ago that he might retire. They're not going to fire him because he's a legend up in Boulder, but he said, no, I'm going to get this fixed. I like the group coming in, and I like my young guys. Ranchik, Dak, Jope. He's got a good nucleus. Imagine if he had those 3 draft picks this year.
Yeah, believe it.
Right?
Yeah, Tristan De Silva, Cody Williams, KJ Simpson.
Made life easier in this league.
Cryer takes the handoff. Caceres on him. Cryer blows past him, a left-handed layup.
That's the evolution of L.J. Cryer at the college level. You don't think of him as just a shooter anymore, folks. He can do it at all levels. And he did score 3,400 points in high school, so he knows how to put the ball in the basket.
Malone will try that, and it's off the mark. Francis rebounds the miss.
I'm a little surprised, John, they haven't posted Malone. No joke there, because he was so good last night. Don't you think?
Yes.
I mean, I know they got shot blockers in there, but you got to get him in foul trouble, too.
Malone was a big part of the reason why they were able to upend West Virginia. Cryer from the elbow. And tipped out of bounds. It'll be Colorado basketball.
Now, what I've liked about watching L.J. Cryer over 5 years, John, is just the versatility of his scoring. If you chase him off the three-point line, he's going to beat you in the mid-range, and even at 6'2", can get all the way to the basket. He's been a marvelous college player in the Big 12 at Baylor and now at Houston.
Has a chance to do something no player has ever done. That's win a national title at 2 schools.
You know who came close Well, we'll do it on a dead ball. I'll tell you who came close. One guy.
Yakimovsky, step back, got it.
Out here you go. Bobby Bender played on the 1976 Indiana National Championship team. He transferred to Duke to play for Bill Foster with Spanarkel and Banks, and they lost in the Final Four. But I think that's about the closest guy to do it. Of course, he went on to college coach.
Bounce pass, that one. Francis gets fouled, and Ron Cheek went down hard. It appears to be in some pain. Ron Cheek still down. Tad Boyle, the athletic trainer, out there to check on him. Houston leading this one by 9. And for Colorado, just 3 conference wins, but on a pretty good roll as they won their first 2 here in Kansas City. They're knocking off TCU and then upending West Virginia yesterday. Let's take another look.
Yeah, watch Ron Cheek. It looks like someone came down on his head. Well, maybe his teammate, actually. That's a good sign. He's a tough, hard-nosed kid. He's going to be a very good player. The coaching staff thinks he's ahead at the same stage of Tristan Da Silva, who, as you mentioned, was a first-round pick, and that's not good news for Tad Boyle right there.
He actually got the foul on Elijah Malone. Ron Cheek being led off. Some type of lower leg injury is what it looks like there.
This guy is not unfamiliar with the Big 12 tournament. Between 81 and 85, he played at Kansas. He was their starting point guard on Larry Brown's 84-85 team. He had a pretty good teammate that is in the building today. His name is Danny Manning, now an assistant coach at Colorado. You see Danny right there, and they did their magic not only in the Big 12 tournament, which you don't believe they won, as I recall, but they did it in Kemper Arena, the same place, in the NCAA tournament, knocking off Oklahoma in one of the probably great Final Four games of all time. Danny and the Miracles.
And Tad Boyle, by the way, did coach Colorado the last time they were in the Big 12 tourney, and that was 2011.
That was his final year in the Big 12 before heading to the Pac-12.
Yeah. Houston by 11. We close in on 6 minutes to go, first half.
If you're Colorado now, you just need a mini run. Get a 6-0 run going and try to just stay in this game.
Cryer on the move. Cryer at the basket. Give off. Arsenault had it blocked, but he's fouled.
You know, we just watched L.J. Cryer go by us, and I don't know how he saw Arsenault, because as he had the ball in his hands, he was not looking behind him. But as he went up in the air, Arsenault appeared out of nowhere, and he found him. Would you agree that we've watched a great maturation of this young man? From
no question. Yeah, I mean, certainly impressive, his start to his career at Baylor. Take a look here.
Yeah, you see, he doesn't even see Arsenault until the last minute. You know what that is? He knows it's the way you play for Kelvin Sampson. You know somebody's busting their tail up the court, so there's going to be somebody on your left.
That's practice.
That's practice every single day. Effort, energy, run, run, run.
Lionel Jr., L.J. Cryer, first team all-conference. Arsenault with the steal. Arsenault, give off Roberts. And out of bounds as that was blocked. And it'll stay with Houston. Let's check in with Chris Budden.
That speed and toughness, it starts during the summers. Their workouts for 6 weeks. They meet at 6:30 in the morning, not just the players, but all the staff as well, the training that they go through, whether it's what they call Muscle Beach or in the weight room. This is from their strength and conditioning coach, Alan Bishop. Imagine the most physically demanding, mentally exhausting, most challenging day you've ever had in high school. That's so far below the easiest day you are ever going to have here. You know, the interesting thing is when you look back at last year, the injuries that they had, Jamal shed towards the end of the year, they wanted to figure out how to save their joints. So they brought in VersaClimbers. The idea is that it's going to take off 25% of the impact on their joints throughout the year.
Hey, Chris, did Kelvin use the VersaClimber himself? How do you feel about that?
He did not. He looked at it and he said, oh, all of the guys hate this thing, so that means I like it, but I'll walk.
Inside, Hammond couldn't hit. Houston back the other way.
Well, they play with great energy, that's for sure, and they share it.
Arsenal wide open. Francis a rebound, but it's knocked away, and here comes Smith. Colorado needs a bucket. RJ Smith, that wouldn't go. And Smith takes it back. Feed to Yakimovsky.
Oh, that's just great effort by Colorado right there. A little sloppy by the Cougars. Kelvin Sampson didn't seem too animated about it, but good effort by this Buffalo team, just trying to hang in there the next 5 minutes.
Andre Yakimovsky with 7 points.
Now, I would consider it a win if I were Tad Boyle, if we were down 6 or 7 going into the break.
Francis.
Here comes Andre.
Andre Yakimovsky.
That might make Kelvin Sampson unhappy.
Andre Yakimovsky making his presence felt. Little Euro step, right hand, plus tax. And he'll go to the line.
Euro step from a kid from North Macedonia, part of the former Yugoslavia.
Kelvin Sampson's going to stop the game and make everybody get on the VersaClimber. (32-24).
This is a good time. I think you got to get Roberts involved a little bit here. A little offensive stuff for Roberts. Get him going a little.
And as if on cue, Yakimovsky though comes to help. Andre kicks to Hammond. Hammond at the basket. Smith buries it. RJ Smith, he can shoot it 40% from 3, and just like that, it's a 5-point game.
I saw the timeout coming as that ball was in the air. I think timeout, Kelvin, and he's called it. He's not happy now. He was not animated by the couple of the first mistakes, but he certainly got up off the bench on that last one. And this is all you want to do if you're Colorado. Hang around. Just stay in it as long as you can. And the favorite gets tighter and tighter.
8-0 Colorado run. ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Principal. Let's build a retirement and benefits plan that works for your team. All right, guys, thanks so much. 5-point Houston advantage, and a Houston team that normally takes good care of the basketball.
And right now they're seeing a different defense as Tad Boyle goes to a little zone right here. That could be dangerous.
Sharp buries a 3, and he is over 1,000 career points. Emmanuel Sharp with 11 and 1,002 career points for Sharp. And that one rolls out for RJ Smith. Houston the other way. Cougars leading it by 8, under 3 to go first half. Wilson lost the handle. Yakimovsky the other way.
Ball ball movement.
Yakimovsky buries that one. He's got 13.
John, we've seen it this year. When you trap the ball the way Houston does, you have to get rid of it quickly and get it away from the trap where there's fewer defenders, and that was perfectly done. A lot of people get out of a trap, they catch their breath, but you can't do that against Houston. Got to keep the ball hopping.
Sharp fires and hits. Emmanuel Sharp red hot with 14 and 4 of 5 from 3.
It's such a good sign, John, because midway through the season he was banged up. I thought early in the year he might have been Houston's best player.
Yakimovsky from deep, and that misses everything. Tugler pulls it down. Here comes Cryer. And Cryer lost the handle briefly. Sharp from way deep, and that one missed by a lot. And Emmanuel Sharp, that a little bit out of his range.
Coach Sampson was not happy with that shot. He made his displeasure quite evident to Emmanuel.
Yakimovsky buries it. What a first half he's had with 16 points. Let's check in with Chris Budden.
Kelvin Sampson during that timeout wrote a word on his whiteboard. He said arrogant. He said that's how you guys are playing right now. He looked at Juwan Roberts and said if I had someone in that I could sub in for you, I would.
Wow.
Hey, you get arrogant when you're the #1 seed, Chris. It's human nature. I've lived this. Look
Roberts.
at this. John,
Short on that shot, and it's a 5-point game.
Pull it out. This is perfect. We said be within 5 or 6. And if they score here, Tad Boyle's going to be ecstatic.
Hammond and Colorado holding here. And now they go. Hammond trying to find some space, lost the handle. And Sharp fires it down the other end, and that is the way the first half comes to a close. Houston, the 1 seed, getting all they can handle from the...
They're playing with a selfishness. I need you guys to play for each other.
6 turnovers on a Houston team that led the Big 12, fewest turnovers per game. They force a turnover right there. Tugler up ahead of the pack, and he lays it in.
That's why JoJo Tugler is the defensive player of the year in the league. It's not just at the rim. It's his deft foot movement. Watch him. Harassment.
Basket spin move on Roberts, and they go possession arrow. It belongs to Houston.
Keep an eye on JoJo Tugler, only a sophomore. Watch his ball pressure right here. And off to the other end, and you see the gracefulness of the young man from Houston who, John, it's not often a freshman plays a lot of minutes for Kelvin Sampson. He did last year prior to breaking that foot, and we keep seeing growth from him.
Cryer grabs the pass, and now weaving into the paint from the free throw line. And Tugler swooping in, offensive rebound and a putback.
That's in 50 seconds, he's made 2 outstanding plays on the offensive end, and that cannot make Tad Boyle happy.
Dak with that jumper. Bangot Dak
John,
knocks it down.
What you're telling your team right now, if you're Colorado, is let's just stay in this game, TV timeout to TV timeout. If we can get it at 6 with about 8 minutes to go, you may get a team that gets tight.
Cryer looking for space, and he's fouled.
Now JoJo Tugler has great instincts for offensive rebounding. Watch him right here. He knows that LJ is going to put that ball up on the rim, and he's just looking to carve out a little room without running anybody over. And when we talk about offensive rebounding, usually there's a picture in the dictionary of a Houston Cougar.
Yeah, but we've been at Houston practices where Kelvin Sampson will stop practice and say, raise your hand if you're an elite offensive rebounder, and basically half their team raises its hand.
Yeah, and one of the reasons they do that, John, is they'll scrimmage with a bubble on each rim.
Yeah.
So you can't make the shot. He's not worried about the ball going in. He wants to see who's tough enough to compete for rebounds.
Yeah, it's one of the things he continues to emphasize. I don't care what you are from the floor. You can impact the game in other ways. That's from way downtown. Hammond in and out. Uzan fighting for the rebound that eventually lands with Roberts, and now Milos leads him into the front court. And Roberts comes up hobbling.
Well, Houston Cougar fans don't need to see that. Last year's season was basically destroyed by some season-ending injuries.
Yeah, Arsenault in December. They lost Tugler for the year, and then it was Shed who was bothered by that hamstring issue down the stretch and was not 100% in that Duke game.
As I recall, John, when this team goes blown out in the championship by Iowa State, Jawan did not play. There you go. He stepped on the defender's foot. Remember, he didn't play in that game because they were resting him as well. And there you see John Houston, the trainer. They're working on Jawan, hoping it's not serious.
Yeah, looked like his ankle.
And this team does have a lot of depth. A little zone now by Colorado. Oh boy.
And Sharp throws it away. A turnover. Kelvin Sampson's team up by 9. We'll keep our eyes on Jawan Roberts and that right ankle.
The key for Colorado is get quality shots, and let's dig back into this lead the way we did at the end of the first half.
Hammond with that left hand, it wouldn't go, and eventually it's Uzan. Here comes Cryer. Houston by 9 with the ball. Tugler, and they get it inside one of the and one. It's not a place that they normally go for offense, JoJo Tugler, but he's made an impact to begin the second half.
And I'll say this about that. You know how hard they work at those post moves. Next year we'll be not saying that because these guys get better offensively.
Yakimovsky, and he's fouled.
And we've seen growth from guys that have played for this team, Justin Gorham and Fabian White. There's a whole list of player development guinea pigs that if you spend time with this coaching staff, and we know they put a lot of time in, they're going to get better. And by the way, congratulations to Quantis White, who's sitting on that bench, who is now will be the new head coach at the University of Louisiana. And Kellen Sampson is the heir apparent at Houston, but Quantis, a great player for Kelvin at Oklahoma on a Final Four team. He will be getting a new head coaching job.
Let's send it to Chris.
Jawan Roberts is walking back where they have an x-ray machine by the locker room. He's going to go have that right ankle looked at.
All right, so we'll keep you posted. Roberts as he goes to undergo further evaluation on that right foot ankle situation.
I don't know who's going to win this game, but Trevor Baskin's going to need the whirlpool after this because, oh, I'll tell you what, offensive foul. He stuck out his derriere right there. He was actually facing the basket. It's hard to foul a guy. Watch this. See that? That's a first I've seen this year.
What do you think of the call?
I think it was a good call because he impeded the progress of the defender trying to get through. And listen, he wasn't making a basketball play. He was just sticking out his rear end.
Uzan flips it up and Francis throws it down.
Remember, Xavier was hurt early in the year, which opened the door for JoJo Tugler starting. but he has got a lot of experience.
Yeah, Francis began the year as a starter. Yakimovsky absorbs the contact. He'll go back to the line. Andre with 18 in the game.
Yeah, a little pick and roll action right here, and I'm telling you, like, you just throw that ball up at the rim, and these Houston Cougars can go up and get it. Francis, he's on the short end of the wingspan metric at Houston. He only has a 7'5" wingspan, whereas Tugler is at 7'6".
10-point Houston advantage here in Kansas City. And still to come, Texas Tech and Baylor, Arizona and Kansas. And Juwan Roberts waiting to get that foot looked at and watching as the game continues. Uzan, free throw line, flips it up. That goes in and out. And a foul on Colorado as Arsenal went for the rebound. Time out of the court, and we'll take it with him. 48-39. The bedazzled champ week basketball, he tried to say. ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball brought to you by Principal. Let's build a retirement benefits plan that works for your team. The champ week, nobody knows. They know. Juwan Roberts got a shoe on, and he's back in. There's the ball.
I want that ball.
I know you do.
It would look good in my study. I do study.
All right. I know you do.
I didn't study in college.
Well, Bobby Miller, you're the best. Uzan flips it up, little strong.
Foul?
Yeah, they get the foul.
You know, that is a, do I see Juwan Roberts over there?
Sprained right ankle is what we're being told on Juwan Roberts. He's tying his shoe back up, and it looks like he may give it a go.
Not a surprise. Now, if you're Colorado, come on now. Let's get this to 6-5, get a couple stops, get a basket, put a little pressure on the #1 seed in the tournament.
Malone at the basket, bounce inside,
nice.
Good find, Caceres.
John, this team is such a good pressure team with 2 on the ball. If you get rid of it quickly, you're going to play 4 against 3. And a good catch by Malone, who hasn't been effective offensively yet, but good pass right there.
Cryer lost it, and a turnover.
That big fella had a good night last night. Watch him look for the ball now. And now you just got to catch it, make a decision, and you're going to find somebody open if you're patient. And the big fellow who transferred from Grace College in Northern Indiana, an AIA All-American, with a nice play.
Yeah, found Felix Caceres. Hammond to Yakimovsky. Malone inside. Ruffin now. Hammond, Hanks can't hit. Wilson rebounds. Here come the Cougars. LJ Cryer in his final year at Houston. He grew up just outside of Houston. Yakimovsky takes it away. And he is fouled. They get Emmanuel Sharp with that foul. That will be his 3rd.
Well, I like the strategy, Colorado. You don't want to always play against this Houston half-court defense, so they will push it and run and try to get an easy 1 or 2. And John, give them credit. They're still hanging around. The one game they played in Boulder this year was basically all tied with about 8 minutes to go. And we're seeing a similar scenario right now.
Ruffin gets it into Malone. Where do they go here, Fran?
I'd like to see him go inside too. I'd like to pick and roll the double teams and play off the double and play some 4-on-3. That was a tough shot right there. And I think Andre could have been a little more judicious in his decision making.
Sharp at the basket and one.
Remember now, these guys are not just outside shooters. And have Emmanuel Sharp goes right to the body of the defender. Take a look right here. He's going to come right at Ruffin, and he's going to initiate the contact. And so many times when we watch young players, John, in college basketball, they avoid the contact. Smart scorers know that if you initiate it, you're going to have an opportunity to go to the foul line.
And he is automatic from the free throw line. Kid that hails from Tampa, Florida, played for his dad in high school.
Now you said automatic. What's he shoot from the line?
91%.
That's almost automatic. I think that's a good point.
Inside, and Francis able to deflect that out of bounds. It'll stay with Colorado. 11 on the shot clock.
Yeah, if you're going to pass the ball into the post against this defense, it's got to be hard line drive passes without a lot of helium on it. This is not the carnival where you're looking for balloons.
Sharp hits the deck, and Ruffin had it knocked away.
Well, I'm not sure that Sharp didn't knock it off of Ruffin, and that was his little argument right here. He's not going to give James Ford a lot of beef.
4.3 seconds on the shot clock. Caceres to inbound. Ruffin got to get something up at the basket, and Malone flushes it.
Good execution. They knew exactly what they wanted with the low clock.
First two for Elijah Malone, who had 14 in their win over West Virginia yesterday. Sharp.
Yeah, this is good basketball right here. Ruffin knows he's got a clock in his head. You know, the NBA, they all have a clock in their head. He knows he's got 4.3 to get downhill. And in this case, just enough time to reward Malone with the easy basket. Good execution by Davon. Of course, his dad, Michael, played in the NBA for quite a while.
Yeah, there's Sharp drilling the free throw.
You know, you speak about Emmanuel Sharp, and his dad, Derek, was a tremendous player in Europe after playing in South Florida. He's one of the great players in the Euro League. And that was before, John, those guys from Europe started coming over to the NBA. And Derek was actually born in Israel.
Feed inside.
Yeah.
Did they get Francis? They did.
Yeah, but that's a little bit better pass. And we talked about this yesterday with Malone. When he posts up and he's got the defender on his back, he's so big he makes even Javier Francis disappear. And that was a little bit harder pass. Look at he's got right now. See that target? Excellent. And the only thing Javier can do is foul right there. And Elijah's got to use that girth to continue to post up that way.
Francis will take a seat. Tugler will check in. Buffs to inbound. And a heads-up play as Hammond throws that one intentionally off the leg of Cryer out of bounds. And they'll put it back in play again. Look at this defense from Houston.
Davon almost got away with a push-off there. He did get away with it.
Inside, Caceres short. And Sharp corrals it. Houston back the other way. The lead is 10. Big 12 quarterfinal number 2. And a thriller in game 1 as BYU got past Iowa State. Arsenault off the glass and it rims out. And Terrence Arsenault will shoot 2.
You know, this is the second year Houston is in the Big 12, so we're just getting used to them. But what we have learned is guys like Terrence Arsenault, when we see him next year, is going to make another big jump offensively the way Sharp has and certainly LJ Cryer has from year to year.
Big 12 championship here in Kansas City. And of course, the big day, Selection Sunday, and we've got you covered. It starts 6 Eastern with SportsCenter on ESPN. Reese and the fellas will take a look at the men's field, followed by bracketology, breakdowns of each region. And then at 8, it's the women's field of 68. And coverage continues on ESPN2, bracketology, and a complete breakdown. It's all coming up Selection Sunday. We got you covered here on ESPN. Malone dribbling out. Good hands by Sharp as he deflects and back into the front court. Smith at the basket, and he's fouled. And RJ will go to the line and shoot 2.
Well, we talked about posting Elijah Malone again, but he's got to be ready for that, what we call the monster, the double team in the post. And he's got to have a plan before he catches the basketball. It almost was disastrous. I think, John, this is the danger zone for Colorado right now, right? 12 points. You could easily blow a balloon.
RJ Smith, the sophomore from California. Excellent three-point shooter. And gets them both here. And they're back within 10. How good's this Houston team? They capable of winning it all?
Without a question. Yep, I think right now they're one of the 3 best teams in the country. We hope Cooper Flagg's not seriously hurt.
Uzan drills that one, and for Milos, his first 2 of the game.
When you look at this Houston team, John, they were 4-3 in November with losses to Alabama, Auburn, and San Diego State. They're 24-1 since late November.
Smith inside left hand and rolls off. And now Uzan. Hesitation, Milos. And a nice move by the point guard.
Well, he hasn't needed to score in this game, but we've seen his growth over the last couple of months. The Oklahoma transfer, Milos Uzan from Las Vegas, Nevada. In a couple of weeks, he's put himself on NBA radars. He's learned from the master Kelvin Sampson, and they had Shed last year. They've got Uzan this year.
Ain't that a shot? Welcome back to Kansas City. Milos Uzan came to Houston because he knew he could get better and he wanted to be coached hard. Didn't quite know how hard that is until you're in a fall practice and you break your nose going after a ball. How about what Kelvin Sampson said of him? Quote, Milos was softer than parquet margarine in the microwave when he got here. He learned to get tougher. He certainly has. And one of the things that Sampson had told us was that, you know, when I watched him play at Oklahoma, he knew how to play hard, but he didn't know how to compete hard.
Yeah, that's a great point, Chris. It's unique when you play for Kelvin, and he didn't have anybody to show him the ropes like Shed did, and with DeJean Giroux, and Giroux had Galen Robinson. This guy's mentor was the head coach, and that's not good.
Well, we get a timeout on the court. Milos Uzan and Houston up by 14. Well, you can connect on that, right? I mean, that's how you're just, it's the psychology of the game, psychology of a deficit is don't think of trying to, you know, knock it all out in one punch.
No, it's what we say. You know, I always say you can't eat an elephant in one bite, John. You got to eat it in small pieces, you know. Depending on what part of the world you travel, elephant could be pretty good. We might get barbecued elephant.
Why are we eating elephants is the first thing that goes through my head, but we do not have the time for that.
But you get the analogy.
I do understand,
you cannot,
100%.
Yeah, you can't get it all back right away, and that's what you do. And they've done a good job, I think, for 25, 26 minutes of staying close. I think Houston now is in a spot where I wouldn't be surprised if they run off like 8 in a row. But again, Colorado, 3rd game in 3 days. I told you earlier, when you play your first game after a team has played 2, they got a little rhythm going. And reality sets in, and we know why this team is so good.
Cryer, that one misses by a lot. Tugler down to the deck. Winner of this one will play BYU in the semifinal, a red-hot BYU team that has won 9 in a row.
They've won 9 in a row, but back in early January, they were destroyed at the Fertitta Center, 86-55. And that game, we saw great shooting today. Houston made 16 threes.
A season high.
And I'll tell you about that game that really stands out. There were about 35 NBA scouts to see Yegor Dem in that game, right? Among others, but mainly Yegor. He couldn't get the ball over half court. I mean, that pressure that he saw was just enormous. So I'm going to be looking for how much that team has come a long way since that day in January. And I expect us to have a great game tomorrow if it's Houston. We haven't really enjoyed watching BYU play today.
And got Dak, lost his footing, kicks to Yakimovsky. Hammond with the shot clock under 10. Yakimovsky buries a 3, and it's a new career high.
This is so good. He's got 63 points in 3 games. And if you're checking at home, that's 21 points a game, and he's still got 10 minutes to go. And what a way to go out for the senior if this is it for him.
Sharp trying to answer, couldn't do it. Rebound is Javon Ruffin, and here come the Buffs. Yakimovsky again. And this time it's Tugler. And the Cougs with the ball, under 10 to go, and they lead it by that many. Malik Wilson, free throw line, and that's short.
Big possession for the Buffs.
Baskin was trying to find Dak. Instead, Wilson the other way.
Well, Trevor's got enough experience to know that that pass may go, it may get there in November against Prairie View. No offense, Prairie View, but it's not going to get there against Houston. It's just a bad angle. Watch. You just can't throw that pass against Houston. Come on now. You know better, Trevor. You played a lot of basketball. And this young man plays with great heart. Former D2 All-American. His dad is the leading scorer at Colorado Mesa, and that's where Trevor spent the last 4 years. He's from Arvada, Colorado, Denver suburb, and it's what a thrill for him to play his 5th year and represent the state and play for the home state Buffs.
Yeah, their leading rebounder, averaging a little over 7 points a game and 5 rebounds a game.
Remember,
in and out for Wilson.
I told you yesterday that there was another D2 player that played for Tad Boyle that's had a pretty good NBA career, Derek White, who transferred from Colorado Springs.
And Sharp fouls Dak, and that is number 4 on Emmanuel Sharp. And Mercy Miller is going to check back in.
Yeah, this is good minutes for Mercy Miller. We talked about him earlier. He's going to get a chance now. Mercy played at Notre Dame High School in Sherman Oaks, and that is Perry.
His dad, yeah.
Yep, Perry Miller, who was a pretty good basketball player in his own right. He's gone on to other exploits. But Master P is he's a great young man too. We love talking to Mercy when we come to practice. Remember, he was a high school superstar, and he chose a place where he knew that it was not going to come easy. And if he stays the course, Percy's raised a great son, and Mercy's going to be a very good player.
Uzan the other way. Houston by 9. Uzan into the paint, left hand, it's blocked, but he's fouled.
Boy, I think Greg Nixon said there was body on that. It was clean up top to me. Take a look right here. Well, maybe a little body there by, who's that, Dak?
That last foul on Dak will be his 4th. And they're going to bring Elijah Malone back into the game.
I want to get your perspective. I know mine. I've told you about Uzan. Tell me what you think and how he's improved, since you and I have both watched him, you know, all season.
Well, I loved him with Oklahoma. I think, you know, again, there's a transition period, but he's, as the year's gone on, he's been, you know, a guy we've seen at times that can get his own offense and has looked for it more as the year has gone on. I think thought of himself a little bit too much as a pure point guard.
Yes.
And trying to get everybody involved early in the season.
Remember, I've told you that sometimes a player can be too unselfish, and that actually hurts the team. I mean, he almost single-handedly won the Arizona game in Tucson.
Cryer.
Oh, boy.
And that rolls home. He's creative, isn't he?
That's a scorer. Scorer gets the dead ball bounce right there off the back of the rim. 3,400 points in high school. Scores any time of the day or night. Nope.
Feed down low. Wilson and the Cougs go the other way. Cryer now. LJ Cryer grew up just outside of downtown Houston and Katy. Went to Baylor, and now in his 2nd year with the Cougars. Last year got to play with his childhood friend Jamal Shed.
You still got a run in you. You get a 6-7-0 run, put a little pressure on the Cougs, and you've got plenty of time, but you got to be very efficient.
Smith from deep. And Miller grabs the rebound and gets fouled. Our under 8 timeout. 64-51. LJ Cryer and Houston on top here in the quarterfinals.
What a weapon. First team all Big 12. The respect of everybody in the league, and a little tricky bounce for the senior. Yeah, John, R.J. Davis, remember his teammate a couple years ago, Caleb Love. He'll be in action tonight against Kansas. Those guys are kind of trading points as to who goes ahead of who. Hunter Dickinson's up there as well, but what a career R.J. Davis has had out of the CHSAA.
Yeah.
Archbishop Stepanak, right up in Mamaroneck. Yeah, yeah.
White Plains?
Oh, I lived in White Plains, but Mamaroneck is right down the street. Yeah. Archbishop Stepanak, a great program. And R.J. Davis, man, he's had an incredible career at Carolina.
Love the CHSA.
That was great basketball through the years.
14-point advantage as Colorado looks to find something at the offensive end. This is the issue, right? Is trying to find offense for a team that at times is offensively challenged, but also against a really good defensive team.
Exactly right. There you go.
And there's Malone, and maybe a little more of that.
As Yubi would say, there you go. There you go. Good post up right there.
Under 7 to go, and the lead is 12. Uzan here. Milo's spinning.
Oh, boy.
And Yakimovsky takes it away.
This is big.
Lob and the throwdown and one.
All right.
And Jack will go to the line.
That's what you want to do. Get it under 10. Tad Boyle told his team a couple of timeouts ago, let's just make it interesting. And what happens is you see the steal, they get out and run. You can lob it to this guy because he's one of the best athletes in the league.
Foul was on Francis as he picks up number 4, and Tugler will check back in.
It's the old story, John. If you get it to 8-7, all of a sudden the team that's supposed to win by 20, you know, it starts to become a little bit of pressure on them. Isn't it crazy this team has one loss since late November?
Yeah, there's no doubt. It's been, especially in this league.
Yeah.
Greg Nixon, and he got the foul on R.J. Smith. That's his 3rd.
And not necessarily a bad guy to foul right here.
Tugler 55%, career of 51. Oh.
Well, nice job by James Ford, the official. He played a little hoop. He still has elevation.
Tugler 1 out of 2. It's back to 10. Houston just have not been able to put the Buffs away.
This is a huge possession to get it to single figures. That's a big guy.
Jack gets it to Malone. Malone with Tugler on his hip. Malone up and in. And Elijah Malone starting to make his presence felt.
I'll tell you, Tad Boyle's got to be very happy with his team, the way they've competed. And that time, no double team, and we saw Malone do this last night. Remember, Johnny went right back to Malone 3 or 4 times last night.
Percy Miller here. Uzan, shot clock under 10. Tugler back to Uzan. Step back. That's a 3. That's good.
How many times have we seen that in the last month?
Uzan with 9.
Remember that Texas Tech game where things looked precarious and he pulled their chestnuts out of the fire. That was a huge shot. Probably the shot of the game.
Uzan, all 9 of his points in the second half as Miller swoops in for the rebound.
Got a little pick and roll coming. Watch LJ operate.
Pryor, quick release. Tip wouldn't go, out of bounds, and Colorado basketball. How would you assess the performance today by Houston?
Uneven, not unexpected, because again, when they're never going to be fat and happy relative to everybody else in college basketball, but when you win a title as easy as you did, you dominated the Big 12, you sit around for a few days, another team gets some momentum like Colorado has. I've lived this as a head coach in a high seed, and Kelvin will not be happy with this first game, but he'll have things to go to school on with them on the film session.
Yakimovsky can't hit. Tugler the rebound, and remember, Jawan Roberts has not come back into the game since that right ankle injury.
That's right, sitting over there. Look at Uzan, he's clearing people out. Little pick and roll action here.
Uzan step back, it's a 3, and it's
amazing.
good.
Yep, that's amazing.
I feel like we weren't seeing that at the beginning of the year.
Oh, absolutely not. He didn't have the confidence, and you made a great point. He didn't want to be selfish. He wanted to be the unselfish teammate, but they have a whole new dimension with him scoring as a point guard. You know, I mentioned this to a couple NBA friends of mine, and they like it. I compare him to Andrew Nembhard, who's a big point guard, not super athletic, but obviously athletic. But this is a game changer, this right here. Big time. Uzan stepping up at the right time.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Phillips 66, proud sponsor of Big 12 basketball. Boog says, what's up, move?
You've heard sleeping dog.
I wouldn't say it was a dog of a game so far.
Well, it's been a rough go of it.
A dog almost as fast as Alucci Kanawa.
The show has gone to the dog.
Yes.
We've had lots of dogs here out in Kansas City. The Humane Society has brought them over, hoping to get them adopted, and they all have been adopted. 100% success rate. It's a good thing they're all spoken for. Otherwise,
oh my God,
Kelvin and Karen, his wife, might be coming home with one. We've had lots of discussions with Karen today about the dogs. They've adopted 2 of them. Most recent one is a dog named Roxy, which we all heard about the other day at senior day. Roxy is a little terrier and apparently runs the household. Every morning, Kelvin Sampson likes to get up and make his bed, but Roxy likes to sleep in. So he makes the bed around her, doesn't move her, which for a coach that has no problem getting his guys up to run liners and yelling at them in a huddle, Roxy is the soft spot for him.
Yeah, there's no question. But again, he likes to make the point. Always greets him at the door, doesn't ask if they want.
And you know what? Knowing Kelvin, he needs a little soft spot. Oh,
Yakubovsky. That shot was blocked. Cryer tracks it down, saves it. And that was well done at the defensive end by the Cougs.
4-guard offense right now for Houston. They do this on occasion. Just play through Tugler. And they get to space the floor better this way.
Uzan probing. And Dak intercepts the pass. Job by Wilson getting a hand on that one, deflected out of bounds, and it'll be Colorado basketball. Malik Wilson, a Texas Tech transfer.
Boy, we
started his career at Louisiana.
Yeah, we have seen him get better. And again, I watch and you watch a lot of basketball. Very few programs put the player development time in to their guys the way the Houston Cougars do. And it's evident on the court. It's not like they get a lot of All-Americans, John, coming out of high school, although they've got 3 coming next year. That's the best group I think they've ever had since Michael Young and Hakeem and a guy named Drexler. Remember the name Kingston Flemings. He'll be the point guard of the future.
Hammond from the elbow, gets it to go.
Tough shot by Julian. Sharp all over him. And it's been a quiet night for a guy that dropped 22 on the Cougs about a month ago.
You know, back to Houston for just a second. You were talking about Kelvin Sampson and the way that team practices their day of game shoot-arounds. It's a full practice. Houston by a dozen. Still to come today. It'll be Texas Tech and Baylor. In our late game, it'll be Arizona and Kansas.
You know, when we go to Houston, the fans chant, "Whose house? Cougs house."
Right.
But you sometimes think they're actually saying Boog's house.
That's correct. I've co-opted it.
Okay.
It's fine, as far as I know. Whose house? And then when they end up with a takeaway, they will yell, the PA guy will yell, "Whose ball?" And then the crowd will chant, "Cougs ball."
There you go. You've got no pushback from Kelvin, so I think we're good.
Yeah. 2:17 to go, and a foul. Number 15, Felix Caceres, his 3rd. Wrong guy to foul as Sharp will head over to the line, and Emmanuel's had himself a nice game, 19 points.
Well, it's really insane. See, look at you, Dave.
I didn't say anything about how good a free throw shooter he is.
But I was going to add that we talk about the great defense rebounding. This year, a better shooting team. They've got 2 guys late in the game. And look at this.
He missed them both.
Oh, my goodness.
Wow. If they were in Waco, everybody would have gotten cupcakes.
Oh, my goodness. That's 2 guys they have that shoot over 90%. But Sharp's numbers are going to dip now thanks to the announcer jinx.
The announcer did not jinx just because you were thinking it. Kick up ahead. Here's Cryer.
Oh,
and he turned it over. Are you scolding LJ Cryer?
Well, he had a guy open underneath.
The lead is a dozen. And that last foul is on Emmanuel Sharp. That's number 5.
See that look? That look is, we won. I knew we were going to win. It would have been hard for Colorado to beat us. I knew we might be flat. But wait till I get to the film session tonight, as we get ready tomorrow for a BYU team that's going to look for some payback, because they did not play well at the Fertitta Center in January.
All right, I have a weird question for you.
Go
Assuming Houston ends up winning this game,
okay,
is there any part of Kelvin Sampson that might be happy with the way this has played out, because it gives him an angle to say, hey, you guys, you need to get focused because you didn't bring it in the quarters?
100%. That's exactly what he's thinking. Now, there are some people that would say, well, you know, maybe Kelvin doesn't want him to win the tournament and then they'll have a few, more days off. That is not in this guy's DNA.
Yeah.
They've won it. They're going to get the rings no matter what, but they are not playing for next week. They're playing for the next 2 days.
Mercy Miller.
There you go.
And 2 shots for the freshman.
What excites me about Mercy Miller is that Kelvin gave him some minutes in the first half. If you haven't watched Houston this year, so what's the big deal? Well, he doles out minutes like a miser. And to play him in both halves, John, next year we're going to say the same thing about him we're going to say about Arsenault. Like, wow, has he gotten better?
Miller misses the first.
There's Master P right there. He's kind of bought into the idea that this is going to be a long process for Mercy. Those 3 freshmen I talked about next year, they were all top 25 kids, and they've picked a school that they know the coach is going to be on them every single day.
Basket corrals the air ball and puts it in. Hammond wanted a foul.
Now, this is doable, but it's going to be hard. Wrong guy to foul, but you have to give it somewhere. But give Tad Boyle credit. His team has played good basketball over 3 days. They started with a win on Saturday against TCU at home. 2 more here, TCU and Cincinnati. And they've stayed within striking distance of arguably one of the 3 top teams in the country. That young man, Sebastian Ranchik, injured early in the game. He's going to be a very good player. Glad to see him back on the bench. And this guy is one of the class gentlemen in college basketball. He's done an amazing job at Colorado.
Texas Tech and Baylor still to come, 7 Eastern on ESPN. You were talking recruiting. 6 or in the top 6 players coming into college next year. 3 of them will play in this league.
Yep.
The numbers 1, 2, and 6 recruit will be in the league, going to BYU, Kansas, and Houston.
Houston, I think it's Chris Senack, right? The
Yep.
7-footer, 6'11", very athletic kid. When I watched Chris play for USA Basketball last summer, living in Colorado Springs now, my one thing about him is he's got to play a little bit harder, right? So instead of taking the easy way out, because he's a future NBA player, he chose the hard way, knowing that even in 1 year, he's going to get coached hard, John. I think that says a lot about a young man. Like, there's no shortcuts here. And it doesn't matter who Kelvin's coaching. He could be coaching Kevin Durant. He's going to be on his butt.
1:10 to go here. Uzan to inbound. Buffs with the pressure. Here's Cryer.
Really smart basketball today by Colorado.
Yeah, they did well to hang around.
Yep. Make a couple more shots.
That last foul on Trevor Baskin, his 5th. And so Baskin is done. And Harrison Carrington will check in.
Substitution 31,
There you go. Look at that. I bet Trevor's been a big brother this year to Sebastian Ranchik, and looks like he's getting a little emotional here. Look at that, man. That kid plays hard. He had a great year for. Look at that. That's basketball, man. I'm getting emotional now. Look at that. These two guys only got to know each other in June. I was up watching practice, and we said it earlier, John. They missed 3 guys that got drafted in the NBA. A whole new team. They struggled. But this is what it's all about. And Tad Boyle is a great leader. And he told us this week he loved coaching these guys.
He talked about how resilient his team is. I loved his line about one thing he's learned in his 30 years of coaching is how much more resilient kids are than adults.
Yeah, I learned something this weekend with that phrase. I'll tell you, Kelvin's been very stoic today. And I think he'll make some points to his team tonight.
Uzan off balance, gets it to go, and Milos with 14 all in the second half.
Oh, nice.
Dak, and a tip, and that wouldn't go. And Jope with the follow. 10.8 to go.
You just saw the Twig Towers right there. The 2 sophomores. They'll be back next year, hopefully.
Did you just come up with that?
I had it in my back pocket.
Yeah. Tad Boyle, Kelvin Sampson shaking hands. And that'll do it. Final game for Trevor